On February 17th, 5 weeks ago Monday, this neighborhood in this city woke up to 400 houses underwater. And you saw the story. The police, the fire department responded immediately, and we got neighbors out with no loss of life and no serious injury. Gary Brown, at the time, promised that everything would be done in 6 weeks, which I didn't think was the smartest political thing I ever heard anybody say. But we're 5.5 weeks later, and I'm proud to say that the team has done it largely because of the help of about a dozen community groups who dramatically sped up this process. So let me give you the hard numbers. We are beyond the 90% completion rate on everything. We had at one point 260 families in hotels. We're now down to 15 families in hotels. And that is in itself was an amazing logistical feat. We have replaced now 125 furnaces and 126 hot water heaters in these homes. We have fewer than 5 of each still to be completed. What is stopping completion is exactly what we predicted. There are a handful of houses that had circumstances that needed a lot more work. We fixed hot water heaters, turned on the plumbing, and found out there were problems in the lateral sewer lines in the backyard in a couple of houses, and so we're going in and replacing those lines. We had 4 or 5 houses where we tore out damaged drywall in the basement from the flooding, and when we did, found either asbestos or lead behind it. And so we had to bring in asbestos and lead abatement folks before we put the new drywall back up. We've got one house where the pipes froze and broke through the ceiling. We are repairing those ceilings. We expect to have all of this done by next week, the last of the houses, and the people have been remarkably understanding as we've gone through item by item. You're going to get a chance to hear from some of the neighbors as well as a representative of the community groups. We set up an emergency phone line for repairs, and that phone line is going to be discontinued on Sunday. If somehow in the last 5.5 weeks you had repairs and we have missed you, the number is 877-311-3664. But Monday, that emergency repair line is shut down, and we will be wrapping up the handful of houses that still remain. The next stage we're going to is the claims. We're writing checks for people for lost dryers, washing machines, items in the basement, and the like. Again, the community groups have been tremendously helpful. You have until Tuesday, 45 days by law after an incident occurs to file your claim. Now, remarkably, of the 400 houses, we already have 378 claims filed. And when you think about the language issues, the challenges in this community, to have 378 claims already in is remarkable. You have until Tuesday to file claims that we haven't gotten to you. And I'm pleased to say that of the first 378 claims, we've already followed up with 75 of the families getting documentation, and 12 have gotten their checks. So over the next 6 weeks, I expect us to process all of the claims. And I will say this, Gary Brown's taken grief from a number of cities around the state who, when they had water main breaks, did not have their city come in and move people to hotels and replace furnaces and the like. You have covered those we have handled quickly, and you have covered some of the ones who at first slipped through the cracks. But I want to talk about what a dozen community groups did. There is no way we are standing this kind of success if it were all city agencies. You think about 206 families spread across 5 hotels in a number of different cities. and you had people working at 2 different jobs. We had families where 2 or 3 children were going to 2 or 3 different schools to arrange the transportation. Then we found that everybody wasn't coming home from work at the same time. We had to arrange the meals in a way that we hadn't anticipated. We had people with medical issues. And I think we ought to be candid. We had some trust issues at first. When this happened, it was a time of especially high anxiety in the immigrant community, and folks weren't exactly sure who was knocking on the door. The only way this response happened was because trusted groups intervened. And I just want to talk about each of them right now and just mention their names and thank them for what they did, because they dropped everything else that was going on and have been up and down these streets with food, with clothing, with rides, with assistance. But I want to say thank you to LaSed, to the Detroit Hispanic Development Corporation, to Frank Venegas and the Ideal Group, who has adopted this neighborhood, Southwest Pride, Urban Neighborhood Initiative. Detroiters helping each other. I think we're going to hear from a representative of that group right now, the Southwest Detroit Business Association, a volunteer named Jessica Avila, who just showed up in the neighborhood and stayed day after day helping out, Maria Salinas and the Congress of Communities, Santos Church, Mipu Dare, and Councilmember Gabriela Santiago Romero. When you have all of these folks working together, and every time they ran into somebody who had a problem that we hadn't anticipated, we immediately stepped in. And of course, I don't want to forget Jimmy Rios, the plumber, who has become quite famous. And Jimmy has been free to share with me personally every time we miss something. But he, I think, came to understand that we knew his heart was in protecting the people in this community, and we responded quickly to many of the issues. It's been really an extraordinary experience. And so with that, I want to take time now to turn it over to the person who has been managing the overall response on a day-to-day basis, our Detroit Water and Sewer Director, Gary Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And yeah, I was a little concerned when I said 6 weeks, but you know, my staff, who is just outstanding, some of the best in the country at doing this work, always jumps in and makes it happen when I make these bold statements. So I want to thank all my staff. Most of them are here. I'm not going to go through them by name, other than one person, which is Dominique, who is the project manager and who's been on site for 7 days a week managing these contractors day to day. So I want to thank her and all the rest of the folks at DWSD that have stood her up. This could not have happened had the mayor not immediately negotiated with the Great Lakes Water Authority a 50-50 split of the cost. We've all done these type projects when we're trying to get money out of FEMA or you're trying to get money out of the state, but we got a deal struck day one, and we were able to put contracts in place immediately to get this work done. So I want to thank him for making that happen. With regards to the water main break, the 54-inch water main break is completely repaired. As you can see, the street is open back up, and once the asphalt factories open up in the next couple of weeks, the street will be repaired and it'll be like it never happened. So we want to thank the Great Lakes Water Authority for jumping on that and getting it done in record time. I also want to thank Dave Bell, my partner over at BSeed, because his team has been on site 7 days a week with us on this. And I want to assure you that every one of our contractors went and got a permit from the city of Detroit, which required the buildings and safety inspectors to inspect the work of these furnaces and hot water tanks, these electrical boxes that are going in, and that I want to assure you that it is up to code with regards to the mechanics, and it is safe. And I also want to indicate that we're going to be able to provide a 1-year warranty on all of the work that we did, and also on the appliances and internal plumbing and electrical work of the houses that we worked on. We're going to be working, negotiating with the American Water Works Association to provide warranties to folks in this area to make sure that going forward in the next year, that all the work that was done has a warranty, so that if anything goes wrong, they can be assured that it'll be taken care of. So the claims process, again, we've gotten more than 75 claims completed this week. If we stay at that pace, it's a 45 to 60 day process. As fast as we can get the documentation in that we need to verify the claims, we will get those claims settled in very quick order. And I think you'll hear a little bit about that from some of our guests that are going to speak after me. With that said, I guess we could turn it over to some of the community people to speak to Antonio.
Thank you, Gary Rahm. My name is Antonio Moore Mills. I'm the Deputy District 6 Manager here with the Department of Neighborhoods of the Mayor's Office. Since day one, the most important thing to us was to make sure we were making sure that the residents were safe and get through completion of this process, and to hear them out to make sure that we got them step by step, communicating with them, make sure they had every need. And we wanted to make sure that everyone was able to hear their story. So we have a few that are here to speak today that want to give their experience to this date. So first we'll have is Manny Cuevas and his wife, Miss Deanna Dooley.
Hello. I just wanted to say the mayor through this whole process has actually been amazing. We're already back in our houses. My furnace has been replaced. My hot water tank's been replaced. They've cleaned, sterilized my basement. They're down there right now. All the noise at the end of the block, they're replacing all the electrical in my basement, fuse box, everything. They put us up in hotels. It was amazing. The kids loved it. It was like a mini vacation. The process is going fast. My claim has already been submitted. They've contacted me. My check's already in the mail. My vehicles, they sent me the paperwork today. My check will be in the mail shortly for that. They have taken care of everything that he could possibly take care of for us. When we woke up in the middle of the night, none of us knew what we were going to do. But within 24 hours, we all felt safe again. We weren't whole, but we were safe. At this point, most of us are whole again in our homes. So, I mean, honestly, it's been kind of a different ordeal, but it hasn't been a bad ordeal thanks to the mayor. He has taken care of us very well. The water department taking care of us very well. With the situation that happened, I couldn't ask for a better outcome, if that makes sense. They are still in the process. They're working on a few things. I still have, like, my porch needs to be done, odds and ends, but our homes are all safe. Everything is working, and we do, again, have our lives back to almost normal.
We feel privileged again.
Yeah.
Oh,
I live 3 houses off the corner. Every minivan up to the dashboard, everything was gone. I'd come out to work at 3 in the morning to go to work, and the water was already this deep. Like,
how is it now?
oh, it's perfect. My basement's been cleaned. Everything's been cleaned. They've cleaned everything out. Furnaces installed. Hot water tanks installed. It's passed all inspections already. Everything's great. It's good. They got everything up and running. I can't complain. I lived in my house 20 years. Actually, that sounds kind of stupid, but y'all helped me clean out 20 years worth of stuff out of my basement too. So it kind of worked out for me a little bit. You know, I'm one of the moms who saved every little macaroni art picture. So it kind of worked in my favor a little bit, you know. It helped me a little bit as well. So
I got my basement back.
And then I guess Jerry.
Next, we're going to bring up Jerry Reynolds, who is an also resident here on Rowan Street.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Hi, I just want to say we're blessed. We're thankful for the city. We appreciate everything the mayor and the water company's done for us. We are as well back in our home. That day was, a little devastating, but we took it on the chin and rode with the punches. The city's definitely been doing everything that they got to do. Our furnace is done. Our hot water tank's done. We still got a little bit of work that we need done, but like I said, we're just rolling with the punches. Everybody in the city's been great. We want to thank the mayor, thank the water company, thank all the volunteers. If it wasn't for you guys, we don't know what we'd have been doing. It was devastating, but now we're blessed, back on track. So
That's an amen all the way around.
Now, as the mayor mentioned earlier, he named off the organizations in the community that came out and poured their heart out and help assisted in. One of the people we want to have come up today is from Detroiters helping each other, and in its name, she has been helping each other out. So we're going to bring up Ms. Jessica Ramirez to speak on that as well.
Hi everyone, I'm Jessica Ramirez, the president of Detroiters Helping Each Other, and we're just a community-based group of the community that comes together and help each other when a time is in need. I also work with animals. Got a call that morning to come over here, and it's been boots on the ground ever since. I think this whole situation showed the city that when a time is need, we can all work together. The city and the community groups, when it's needed, we know how to work together and come together. I'm grateful for everything they've done. They're continuing to do. The city working fast and getting the families back in their homes, even with all the hiccups in the last 5.5 weeks. We getting everybody back at home. There's still needs that need to be met from community base and what the city is doing, and we're just grateful to be a part of it and be a part of this community that comes together and does teamwork is dream work.
So I want to say to Ms. Ramirez and everybody else, my wife Sonia was watching this on TV, and she says, we have got to take the volunteers for all your groups, and we want to have you come over to the Manugian this summer and just celebrate. Take the time when you're not running up and down the streets and have a special celebration. Somebody on TV criticizing us, they were right. They were pointing out problems that we needed to fix, right? They were doing it because they were trying to hurt. They were doing it because they were trying to help. And the advocacy of these groups is a big part of why we are here today. And so we are going to all celebrate together your accomplishments this summer. And so with that, we'll take any questions. Yeah. I'm going to let Gary talk about it. I'll tell you the biggest challenge at the beginning for me, because I was taking a lot of phone calls, was I just said, guys, open up the hotels and move folks. And we moved people in. Now, we had some people move in who weren't from the neighborhood, but rather than slow it down, we moved everyone. But I think we underestimated the logistical challenge of 200 families overnight leaving the neighborhood and going to a hotel in Southfield or Dearborn. How do I get to work? How do I get to school? In many cases, their cars were underwater. So it was a remarkable logistical challenge to respond to the needs of the people who had been displaced. And Gary can talk about what was going on in the neighborhood.
Yeah, lots of challenges, nothing unsurmountable. Obviously, the language barrier was an issue, but the community stepped in with interpreters that solved that problem pretty quickly. You all remember the old movie, maybe it's still on, This Old House? Well, that pipe was 93 years old, and so are these houses. And when you open up the walls and you start doing projects in houses that are 93 years old, you're going to find unexpected events that have to be taken care of. But I'm just surprised that there weren't more. There are about a handful right now and a punch list of things that still have to be done. But we got most of the main work. We got heat into the homes very quickly. We got the plumbing issues addressed. We got the electrical issues addressed so people could get back into their homes and get back to their daily lives. So there wasn't anything that stomped us other than the homes being 93 years old and finding unexpected things when you open up those walls.
We're getting to the end of the claims process. Do you have an estimate for what we expect those damages will cost the city?
Not at this point. It's a little too early, but early next week we should have a number.
Can you talk about how that $6 million appropriation of surplus funds that the council appropriated like last week or something, what that's going to do? How it's helping?
Yeah, I'm not sure that they appropriated $6 million to this project. This project is being financed through DWSD's budget and through the Great Lakes Water Authority's budget. They may be dealing with some of the hotel and food and transportation issues, but those I'm not aware of.
Yeah, except for emergency relief.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about. Those are hotel, food, transportation, things of that nature.
I know you guys are talking about that phone number being shut down. What if people have issues?
Yeah,
I know you have a warranty, but it's a year.
yeah.
How do people get in touch if it's an emergency or non-emergency?
Yeah, DWSD's website is one good way to do it. We also have 60 people that answer our customer service representative phone line. They can contact us there. The emergency line was put up for just that. While the emergency was going on, the emergency is now over. The claims process, we want to overemphasize. You have to file a claim by April 3rd. It's a statutory requirement in order to benefit. We want to make sure that everyone that is entitled gets the dollars that they need.
Can you talk a little bit more about the aspects of paying for this? I was reading, and maybe correct me on this, some of this came from the vacancies at DWSD.
Yeah.
About the decision to
Yeah, I said that at the council table that I have to live within my budget. My boss makes sure that I live within my budget. Our new budget year starts July 1st. These dollars have to come out of this year's budget, and so I have 67 vacancies, and we're only going to replace the emergency vacancies until July 1st when the new dollars kick in. So we'll create several $1 million in savings by not filling those positions for the next 3 or 4 months, and that will help finance the DWSD 50% portion of this expense.
Can you clarify if there's any parts of claims that are being denied at this point? Certain aspects of the city is determined, the city of Leland is determined.
Yeah.
Cannot cover?
Yeah, sure. Well, there were more than 30 claims that were made, and people didn't realize you have to live within this project area. They were from outside the city of Detroit, far outside of this program, so those claims obviously will be denied. We think that there was just a misunderstanding that people could file a claim for things from all over the city, and it just applied to this area. Other than that, we're too early in the process. I'm sure that I've given the Mackinac claims adjusters a very liberal amount of money that they can negotiate with without even coming back to DWSD, and that's why you hear that some of the claims have already been approved and are managed, and we're going to be very liberal in our approach to approving these claims.
And just a point of clarification, you guys are talking about the law and the 45 days. It was my understanding that law applied to sewage issues, not to a clean water break. Is there any leniency people might see if they can't make that deadline in April?
It's something that I can go back and talk to our lawyers about to make sure that we're within the law. We're going to follow the law, the statute. I don't know it by heart, but we'll follow the statute. And again, we're going to make sure that we flood this neighborhood with the information to get the file claim by April 3rd so that we can bring some closure to this project.
Is there any limit on like an individual claim, how much somebody could be eligible for?
No, it has to be personal property or real property, but other than that, there's not a limit. I've seen some pretty high numbers.
Can you say like what the highest would be right now?
More than $100,000 for some personal property.
Can you talk? I mean, it sounds like the city doesn't have any legal liability to do this, but you're doing it out of some altruism. Can you talk about?
No, I don't think it's altruism. I think that you're right. We could have, there's mechanisms of governmental immunity that could have been imposed, but we did it because it was the right thing to do. It's really as simple as that. It wasn't altruistic. It was the right thing to do to make people whole and get them back into their homes as quickly as
Let me talk
possible.
about that. Had we not done this, there would have been guaranteed class action suit. And we would have said Gliwa has had responsibility for these pipes for 10 years, and it's their fault. And Gliwa would have said the city built the pipes 93 years ago and they own them, and it's their fault. We'd have been years in litigation pointing the fingers at each other, and it wouldn't have done these neighbors any good. And so I got the GLEWA leadership together with the DWSD leadership and said, let's skip the years of litigation. Let's split it 50-50. Let's go. I'm not aware of another case where that's happened. We could have tried a FEMA process, given what's going on in D.C. I don't even know if FEMA is going to exist. And people could have been stuck for months. So it was just the right thing to do. Whether it'll create precedent for any other cities, any other times, I don't know. But it was the right thing to do. Yeah.
What's the biggest thing you guys learned from us?
I can tell you, if I could do one thing faster, I would have gotten the community groups more integrated into
Now
our
you have my
response
information.
earlier.
When
Right.
you need it, you reach
Right,
out.
right.
And I'll use my big mouth,
Right.
and I'll round up all the
Right.
other groups.
But it took us a couple of weeks to get coordinated, right? And so I wish we had moved faster to do that. But I don't know, Jessica. You want to talk about what else we could have done better?
You want to add?
What did you first see? What did you first notice when you got
Well, when I first got here, I originally got called about the animals, because that's what I primarily do. And I was over on Beard. And we just set up for the first 4 days. The first 24 hours, to me and the community groups, my street team that's here, was the language barrier. A language barrier is a big issue. And making sure they knew where they was going. You know, we need to come up, in my opinion, we need to come up with a better emergency plan for stuff like this with the community. Like, get your the city, come with your trusted leaders from your community groups, make up a plan. If something like this happens again, we have a solid translation team. I can name Miranda, Veronica, Jessica, Erica. They was phenomenal out here in these streets doing translation, helping with everything. We need to have a better solid team. That's my opinion from doing this in this community for 14 years. We just need, for the first 48 hours, it needs to be a better communication where maybe we make a street team with the city for emergencies like this.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
So just now that you're moving forward to another phase, is there any reflection back on the morning of, any investigation into the time frame it took to get people out here to get the water down?
You know, this is a hard thing to explain. The street we're on now, the pipes on the neighborhood streets are managed by DWSD. It is the huge transmission pipes that are managed by GLEWA. And normally when they break on a major mile road. And so when the folks first got here, they didn't appreciate that this was a GLEWA pipe. And so I think we've learned since that if there's this much water coming out, let's get both agencies out here at once. But I was here. I mean, the response. We will never forget the family that was brought out in the front loader. It was the emergency response, I think, was flawless. But I think now GLEWA and DWSD will probably respond even faster at the first signs of the water running. Now, I can tell you, in 2014 when I started, if there was a water main break, DWSD worked from 8 to 4. If the water broke at midnight, they'd come into the office at 8 o'clock in the morning and then would head out. One of the first things we did was put a 24-hour DWSD response crew out, which helped in this case enormously. And I think GLEWA is now starting to appreciate the value of that as well.